Hello and welcome guys to another video where we talk about the carbon markets, about carbon credits and how to make money with carbon. If you want to stay up to date on this topic, then please click the subscribe button to this channel. And if you want, you can also leave a like on this video. This will help me a lot, so thank you very much. Today we're going to talk about China. We're going to talk about the Chinese emission trading system, the China ETS. In mid-2021, China launched the biggest ETS to date in terms of CO2 emissions. The Chinese ETS covers about 4 billion tons of CO2 annually. That is more than double as much as the EU ETS, the second biggest emission trading system in the world, does.
What?
And it is also the newest ETS. After 3 years of preparation, in 2021, the Chinese government launched the Chinese ETS. The ETS started with a pilot project. In 2010, the nation implemented 7 pilot carbon markets in various zones that thrive on the production of cement, electricity, heat, petroleum and oil extractions. Beijing, Zhuanghe, Guangdong, Hubei, Shanghai, Shenzhen and Tianjin. And these zones represent about 25% of China's total GDP. So they proved the model in these 7 zones and then switched to a national ETS. And these existing Chinese regional ETS are now getting integrated into the national ETS. But they continue to operate in parallel for a while. The ETS is trading on a platform operated by the Shanghai Environment and Energy Exchange. And it has as a goal the gradual and effective reduction of CO2 emissions over the years. Because China has announced very ambitious climate goals. Until 2025, it plans to reduce carbon intensity by 18% from 2020 levels, reduce energy intensity by 13.5% from 2020 levels, increase forest coverage by 24.1%, and increase share of non-fossil fuel sources in the energy mix to around 20%. And also, China plans to be net zero by 2060, which is a big goal.
Wow!
So what does the Chinese ETS system look like? The Chinese ETS covers about 2,200 power companies, so only power companies. And these companies produce about 4.5 billion tons of CO2, which is about 40% of the whole country's CO2 emissions. Just for a comparison, the cap of the whole EU ETS in 2021 was 1.6 billion tons of CO2. So the Chinese system focuses only on CO2, no other gases, and it focuses also only on the power sector, so energy generating sector, and no other sector. But it plans to expand the system further in the future. So how does the Chinese ETS work and how is it different from other emission trading systems? So the biggest difference is there is no absolute cap on the Chinese ETS in comparison to the EU ETS. China currently applies a bottom-up cap by which all covered companies are allocated their emission allowances free of charge. And this allocation is based on a national benchmarking method, whereby the average carbon intensity of these sectors and products is calculated and compared with that of individual emitters. So instead of the cap being applied from above, it is applied from the bottom up. So at the moment, it's not a cap and trade system. But nonetheless, companies that reduce their carbon intensity can generate a surplus of allowances, which they can then sell and or bank for future years. So benchmarking is used as the main allocation method, with 4 distinct benchmarks: conventional coal plants below 300 megawatt, conventional coal plants above 300 megawatt, unconventional coal and natural gas. And China also takes a different approach on monitoring, reporting and verifying the emissions. For example, in the EU, there has to be a third party that controls and monitors the emissions. But in China, the Ministry of Ecology and Environment assigns the task to local environment and ecology bureaus that then have to verify the reported emissions. And if there's questionable data, then there comes a third party to review it. So does this plan actually reduce greenhouse gases? A study published in 2021 actually concluded that the evidence is clear that the regional ETS pilot systems are reducing greenhouse gas emissions by about 16.7% of total emissions and 9.7% reduction in emission intensity. The ETS system also reported a high compliance rate in 2021 with 99.5%. That means that all the 2,200 companies participated in the scheme and the emissions did not surpass the 2019 and 2020 levels. But we must also remember that because of the 2020 situation and the global economy grinding to a halt, that actually the emissions total in the world of 2021 were less than 2019. So basically the whole world reduced their emissions in the last 2 years without changing anything. And the Chinese model has also been rated highly insufficient by Climate Action Tracker in terms of following global emission goals. So what about the price of the Chinese ETS? On the last day of trading, December 31st of 2021, the price was about 54 yuan per ton of CO2, which is about 8.5 USD or 7.5 euros. So that's about 1/10 of the European carbon price at the moment. And on January 12th, the daily weighted average price of CO2 emissions in China was about 58 yuan or about 9 USD. If we compare it to other carbon markets worldwide, then it's about 1/10 or 1/8 of the EU ETS, also far below the California cap and trade system and the Korea ETS. And it's even below the price of nature-based solution voluntary carbon credits, according to Platts CNC. So the Chinese carbon price is very low compared to other carbon markets. But the Chinese government plans to make way for institutional investors to start boosting market size and increase carbon market liquidity. China's carbon market at the moment is more dominated by big state-owned Chinese companies that make bulk purchases to cover their emissions instead of actual trading through listed transactions. But China plans to have more individual investors participate in the market and also plans to integrate an auction system into the Chinese ETS. And the price is also expected to go to at least 65 yuan this year in 2022. That is above $10.2. So can you actually invest in the Chinese ETS? So as far as I understand it, at the moment it is not possible even for institutional investors to participate in the Chinese system. European Energy Exchange is working with the partners in China to facilitate access to the Chinese carbon market. At the moment, this only takes place on the China-Beijing Environmental Exchange, China Emissions Exchange Huangsu, and Shanghai Environment and Energy Exchange. Unfortunately, you cannot find a lot of details on the internet. You can only find the website of the China-Beijing Environmental Exchange. And if you try to go to the English version, then you get an error. So not a lot of information there. And the other two exchanges don't even have a lively internet presence. So unfortunately, at the moment, I think it is not possible to invest in the Chinese carbon markets, but maybe that's also a good thing. I think this market has some time to spend to sort itself out, to become a real market like the other carbon markets. In my personal opinion, I think at the moment this market is a bit intransparent. It seems a bit patched together. It also had a delay when it launched. So I think there are some details that need to be figured out. But then again, it's the biggest market in the whole world, so maybe there is some opportunity there. I will keep you updated on this channel, of course, about all the carbon markets in the world. If you enjoy this, then again, please subscribe. And I also want to know, what is your opinion on China? What is your opinion on the Chinese ETS? Let me know in the comment section. Do you think it is a legit market? Or do you think the Chinese are just tricking everybody? Also, check out the Discord server and the Facebook group. There are more and more people joining there. Let's have a lively conversation on these platforms. And once again, please give this video a like, share it with friends or anybody you think that could be interested in this topic. Let's get all together. I'm gonna say thank you and I will see you in the next video.